and then once training is kind of put into place, then empowering people to make the decisions that will benefit the customer.
Right. And you just said that new, like you trained them on new tools, right? So what were these tools?
Yeah, I would just say the new tools are mostly just process. It's the new tools. I mean, the training is part of the new tools. We've given them the training and support, and then we've kind of reduced the barriers or the process drivers, the hurdles, I guess. We've reduced kind of hindrances that allow them or enable them to make decisions. The tools are part of just their ability to resolve maybe something that was outside of their previous job role or their previous job description, something like that.
Okay, so you essentially mean that you build processes rather than like you gave them software. You don't mean that you gave them software, right?
Yeah, it's not a software. It's not like I gave them a smartphone or an app. You know what I mean? More
Right,
just
right.
we've given them, we've reduced process issues that should enable them. It's like, a lot of times people will tell you I can't do something because it's not something I'm allowed to do. It's just not something we do. We're taking that away and just saying is you do whatever the customer needs you to do. And if it's within your authority to do it, then we need to take care of them. It's kind of,
Right. Okay. That's the empowering bit, right? Now you
yeah,
just said that you reduce process issues, correct? So what do you mean by that?
yeah. A lot of it is just simple requirements on we've reduced, how do I want to put it? We've reduced, I'm trying to think the best way to word it. How do I want to say? We've reformatted our kind of standard operating procedures where, instead of like one group or one physician's responsibility, we've expanded it to multiple people so that accountability rests with anybody who touches the file and not a specific person. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. All okay. So
This is a great exercise, by the way. I think I'll probably, after we talk, I'm going to probably need a nap, because it's good though. It's forcing me to kind of use my head in terms of kind of how I describe it. It could probably help me describe it a little bit better outside of my team within the
yeah,
organization. So this is good.
yeah. It could also help you better describe this process when they ask you in an interview. But like, tell me if this call is wearing you down. We can reschedule another call on another date. Like, don't exhaust yourself. Okay, it's not a problem.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. So if it's getting too much, just say the word and we'll reschedule, like have schedule another call. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. You all also recommended these. Sorry, I mean you talked about these communication standards that you have for like coordination among like all of your branch offices and whatnot. So did you develop these communication standards and guidelines?
Yes. We've developed communication standards around, if that file is accessed by anybody, then we have to call the customer regardless. I don't care when the last time we've talked to them, but if we touch that file for any reason, the customer will receive an update or a phone call, or an update through any other, versus just calling people when we think they want an update. We will call them whenever we touch the file and provide them with an update, even if we don't have one. So we find that the majority of the people we deal with, they just want to know what's going on. And sometimes claims adjusters will only want to call you when they have something to tell you. And those don't always mesh. So what we find is we'll call them and let them know every time we touch that file. We'll let them know why we're touching the file. Even if it's not anything that's significant, we'll at least give them an update so they can know where we stand with them, and then they can know where they stand with us. So these are things that we're enacting.
This helped improve like your like the claimant's experience with your company, correct?
Well, no, well, it will, and it is. We don't have a ton of data off of it, but we've
Yeah.
this is one of two communication standards that we've implemented.
What's the other
So
one?
that's probably, yeah. The other one is it's called a seal the deal call, where it's more or less it's a call. It's a call that's triggered after a payment. So after a payment is issued, we call the member, and it's another opportunity for us to A, have a communication, and B, ensure that the member doesn't have any questions. And also, if there's anything outstanding that we need to address, we can catch it at that time instead of, letting it delay. So we have structured, communication so we can ensure that, any issues or outstanding items are addressed and that the insured is updated
Right,
appropriately with
that's a
what's going
very
on real
proactive
quick.
mindset. Hello.
Yeah, it's really changing it from being proactive, and it's ensuring that we have processes that'll allow us or that'll structurally kind of put the entire group, whether you're new or you've been doing this a while, it's structured to where customer contact should be kind of successful, I guess. We should be successful at providing people with updates and ensuring that we can address any outstanding issues as soon as possible, I guess.
Right. Okay. All right. So that brings me to, yeah, finally, you talked about scaling resources, correct? Like moving resources between branches and whatnot. So, how do you ensure optimum resource utilization?
Well, it's for us. It's been an absolute challenge because we've been borderline devastated with catastrophes the last couple of years.
Oh,
Yeah. So I think what it is that um, we how do I want to put it? The best way to scale is you have to understand um, what your resources are all the time. You have to know how many people you have, and you have to know what their capabilities are based on inventory. Where are they at currently? Because if you respond to a catastrophe, it's not just how many people do you need, but that number is going to have to be fluctuated based on where are they at the time they get hit. So
right. Okay.
it's understanding the inventory, it's understanding how many people you have, it's understanding how many people you need, it's understanding how many people you have in your entire organization. And then once you know that information, now you need to know how many people do I have to go externally to bring in. So that's kind of like the high level, but we've done a better job um, um, structuring our department so that we can scale, so that we can move bodies and move people. And then we've also done a great job of finding people within CSAA, not just the homeowners, but in auto and other places that can help us. Um, and
Right.
then other than that, and then at that point, we have a structure where we can bring in outside assistance if needed so that we can better serve our members. So either way, our members are going to be taken care of, but we can scale it if needed.
Right. So, you have essentially created a structure that would essentially allow you to scale your workforce when it's needed during like catastrophe claims, right?
Yes, we can scale it. We can bring on resources. We can shift resources, and then we can bring on additional resources if not, so that we can make sure that the operation continues. Not just the cat business, obviously, but our daily business needs to continue. The cat stuff is just
Right.
icing on the cake, right? But you still have the cake that you need to bake and work with, and and
Right.
you can't stop handling claims in Ohio and Indiana and in Oklahoma if California is on fire, which happens quite often.
Oh, oh, good God. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I am crossing California off of my future places to live. Okay. Let's go ahead. Right. Uh, Other than this, what? Okay. Okay. So you just said that, okay, you created this like extremely flexible structure. All right, let's call it that. And you, so like, was this your initiative to create this flexible structure, or did someone tell you to do it?
um, it's something that we had to build the flexible structure, and so we knew we had to do it. It was something that we knew we had to do, and I had to execute on it. But I've been responsible to scale in order to meet the demands. And one of the big things is, and I'm not sure how to word this, but up until recently, I've had to respond to wildfires and 2 years worth of significant catastrophe claims, and I've had to respond to these without any additional permanent resources, um,
Oh,
while maintaining the business. So it's really just we've had to take whatever we can get internally. We've gotten some external help, but these claims they last for years. So effectively, I've been dealing with the same resource pool, for the last 2 years, when I've had maybe up to upwards of 50% more workload. You know what I mean? So
right.
yeah,
You should
it's
really
been
ask your department to, how should I put this, like analyze catastrophe trends and like modify their systems accordingly.
um, you said, have I asked my department to do what? Say that again.
No, no, no. I said you should ask your department to like analyze all these catastrophe trends and like scale up your systems or modify your systems accordingly, because this is
Yeah,
really taxing
no,
on.
yeah. Oh no, it's terrible. It's been, well, because California either likes to catch on fire nowadays, or it likes to flood. You know what I mean? Or it likes to rain. And so the
Okay.
problem is that, this is the thing, is you don't, every business, when it's so volatile like that, they want a sweet spot, right? But there's no perfect equation, and you can't predict the future, right? Because if you could, then this would be really easy, but you can't.
Right,
And so homeowners claims are tough. Auto claims are simple in terms of, they're steady, but they're going down because of ride sharing and other type
right.
of innovations. But the
Uber.
challenges with Uber and Lyft and ride sharing, and then you have these other
Yeah,
places that are doing, what do they call it, subscription services for drivers, and they have all kinds of stuff out there. But for homes, they're getting smart home technology built in. But listen, when it comes to homes, you're always going to have two things. You're always going to have people that do stupid things, and you're always going to have people that and you're always going to have people that have bad luck. And
uh,
so people are gonna put a pipe in wrong, and there's also the gift of time, right? Over time, your house fails, and when it fails, it usually fails in a big way.
oh,
A leak or a roof leak or a roof issue.
or
So it's
fungus.
either exactly. So for us to find that sweet spot is a challenge. Companies don't want to oversaturate their workforce either. Especially when one event might be isolated, so you don't want to go ahead and add 10 or 20% more staff. Um,
Right,
Especially if you find that the volume isn't going to substantiate, the workforce in the next six
right.
months. You'd rather either bring on temporary help or do something, but we've gotten hit so frequently, the last couple of years, that now the dynamics have just shifted, where a lot of these claims are still here, and we just need more, sustainable help. So we're adding more staff now as we speak, but the last 2 years since the wildfire started, we've been effectively operating with the same pool. We received 7.5 years worth of work in about,
The last two.
um, we received 7.5 years worth of large loss claims, total losses.
Right.
We received 7.5 years worth of total losses in 13 months. In November, we received 4.5 years worth of total losses within 3 weeks for that campfire up there in Paradise.
Okay.
So we've had to scale resources. We've had to find permanent, owning adjusting solutions. So we've had to find permanent adjusting, for 7.5 years worth of work with no additional permanent staff, and maintain the daily business. So it's been it's been a lot of things, Wahid. It's been if I have a
It's been a
therapist in here,
headache.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had a therapist, I probably could have put their kid through college. You know what I mean?
Oh,
If I wanted,
yeah.
but that's just the nature of our business. Right now, there's a fire going on. Right now, it's not a huge
Oh
fire
God.
yet, but I mean, I get an email at 11
Oh,
o'clock at night on Saturday night about a fire, and they want to know, what's the exposure, how many people, how many houses, what are
oh,
the evacuation points, and the thing is, if I get hit with more of these total losses, I got to find permanent homes for these claims. And these claims last years. It's not like an auto claim, where you get a rental for 30 days. It's not
right.
that claim. It's not that type of environment. So that's the challenge: is scaling these large events, maintaining your normal business, and being able to
Right.
do it with limited resource support. And that's been the challenge.
Right. So you just said okay. Another thing that you said was that you track and utilize. Sorry, that you like need an understanding of how much inventory you have, how much staff you had. Having that data is very crucial for you, right? So
Yeah,
like, have you
you always, yeah. Go ahead.
right? So have you introduced any system to track and utilize this stuff, like track and analyze this data?
Yes, I track and analyze my own data. So I've created my own tracking mechanisms,
Okay.
so that every day I can tell you exactly, how many claims we have and how many people we have. So I know that on any given day, if I get hit with something, I'm going to have a better sense of kind of what our scalability is, what can we
Right.
take, and then what our limits are. And so yes, I've developed a comprehensive tracking mechanism that allows us to, just get a very, a detailed kind of account on where we stand currently, and that's for all facets of the business, kind of understanding just the performance and also inventory and just overall status. And
Right.
that's
So
something I manage. Yep.
right. So what did you use to create this?
It's just,
Like
it's literally just taking multiple data points and putting them on a spreadsheet and tracking it. It's identifying trends and patterns, but it's understanding, you want to speak to the performance of your team over time, and then you want to be able to say, where are we at right now? It's a trending
right.
mechanism. It's being able to hit both. A
R-
shot in time doesn't tell you anything. So we hit it from two angles. If somebody wanted to know where we were at right now, I could tell them. And if somebody wanted to ask how have we been doing, I can answer that too. So it's a status
Oh,
mechanism and a tracking mechanism, patterns and
right. Okay.
trends.
So, like this mechanism, you said that you like get data points, put them into Excel. Excel analyzes it, and you get like status reports and like tracking of like your trends, right? So, what I wanted to ask was like you've created this whole mechanism using Excel and something that you use to pull data out, like to get get these data points of inventory and stuff. So, what do you use to get these data points of inventory and stuff?
It's various reporting and data. I mean, it's other reporting that gives you snapshot information, and I
Right.
take
Okay.
it and I track it daily so that I can get the trend, versus just
Right.
getting a daily report on one specific point. If I track the points, and then I can look at, various different data points and see the correlations. And so really it's taking snapshots in time. It's data entry,
Right.
and then it's
Okay.
it's really looking at all of our KPIs and ensuring that, how are we performing, what are the trends, and then kind of what direction are we headed in. So really, it's just a way to it's an organization. It's a data organizer. It
Right.
organizes data, but it accomplishes a lot of different things. But I'll tell you, the spreadsheet, it's an incredible. Well, let me be honest with you. It's not all that impressive. It's just a lot of information, but
Oh,
its value is significant because everybody uses it and everyone knows where they stand, and it helps me manage performance and drive performance and hold people accountable. It's kind of a one-stop shop for a lot of different reasons. It helps me manage the business, really.
right. Okay. So, like you created this on Excel by yourself, and you use like reporting systems and tools to pull that out, right? Could you name some of these reporting systems that you use to pull the data
Um,
out?
they're internal reporting systems, so I don't know
Okay,
that
okay,
they would be. Yeah, I mean, just
okay, okay,
it
okay.
just
Understood.
yeah, it's literally just taking, um,
Right,
it's
right.
taking information that is published or distributed throughout the organization, and then it's simply organizing it, and it's analyzing it. It's how do I want to put it? It's trending. How do it's your I can't think of the word.
Okay.
Um, your yeah, shit, I can't think of, my mind's frozen.
No, don't worry,
But
don't worry.
anyway,
I'll figure it.
yeah. But anyway, it's pulled from different resources.
All right, okay, understood. All right. So I suppose we've talked about this in great detail. Like there's one thing that I wanted to discuss with you in the resume. There's this portion called innovations that you have listed, a couple of innovations that you've listed in your first job position, right?
Yes,
Hello? Yeah, can you see
yes.
that? Yeah, I put it on page number 2. So could you like okay, so the first is like consolidation of claims handling requirements in order to create capacity for large loss catastrophe response. So that we discussed, right?
Yes.
Okay, I believe we discussed how you can like scale resources and scale workforce in that aspect of it. But what do you mean by consolidation of claims handling requirements?